At 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
He was convicted of killing a 16-year-old 3 years ago. He's now asking for a judge for mercy. Fabian Vega sentenced for the murder of Jesse Alvear.
Erica Hernandez takes us inside the courtroom today for that sentencing and what Alvear's family had to say to their loved one's killer.
I don't blame no one for my action that I did because I didn't grow up knowing right or wrong.
Fabian Vega in court today pleading for anything less than 25 years in prison. Vega is convicted of the 2020 deadly shooting that killed 16-year-old Jesse Alvear and injured 2 others near Benavides Park. Police say that an argument between 2 groups broke out and ended with shots being fired. Alvear tried to run to a nearby basketball court where he later died from his injuries. Vega agreed to a plea deal with the possibility of receiving the maximum 25 years. Before sentencing, he apologized to Alvear's family.
I want to apologize to my victim's family for so much pain that I caused them and for their loss. And I regret everything I did.
After that apology, Vega then asked the judge for mercy, but 187 District Court Judge Stephanie Boyd stuck with the plea deal, and here is that sentencing.
At some point in time, our actions are our own. We can no longer blame it on the rough childhood we had. I'm going to sentence you to 25 years in the prison.
Jesse Alvear's family then faced Vega as letters they wrote were read to him by a victim advocate.
I am at loss for words to truly express what you have taken from me. Jesse was not only my son, a part of me, but Jesse was my life. You tore a huge part out of my heart. I died that day too.
Vega will now be transferred to prison where he must serve half of his sentence before he is eligible for parole. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
A San Antonio man wrongfully convicted in 1991 has now officially been exonerated. Melvin Quinney, his grown son, and those with the Texas Innocence Project were in court today to witness those charges being officially dismissed. It was Quinney's son who accused him decades ago of being in a satanic cult. That led to Quinney's conviction of indecency with a child. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, released in 1999. Quinney's son recanted his story, which helped lead to today. His exoneration means he no longer has to register as a sex offender and will be compensated by the state for his wrongful conviction.
A moment of relief about 12:30 this afternoon when 2 children walked out of an East Bexar County house where their father had been in a standoff with law enforcement. The 5-hour standoff ended peacefully when those kids walked out safely. Eventually followed by their father, you saw him there, 32-year-old Marlon Avita Reyes. He was immediately arrested, charged with assault, strangulation for the alleged domestic violence incident that started the standoff. Bexar County Sheriff's deputies got to the house about 4:30 this morning. The mother of the 2 children had escaped that home and called for help.
We have to be very careful because we know that there's innocent lives inside of this residence, and we have to safeguard those kids.
Extra law enforcement also surrounded the area because the house was across the street from East Central High School. The district sent parents a message this morning saying the campus was not involved in the incident, but they were locking their doors out of an extra precautionary measure. The school returned to normal after that scene was cleared.
Millions of women and their health providers are in limbo. Last week, a Texas judge ruled that the FDA overstepped by authorizing the drug mifepristone, which has been available to women to purchase for 23 years now.
The same day the Texas ruling came down, a judge in Washington state ordered the FDA to keep mifepristone readily available to the public. ABC's Ike Ajachi in Washington with the latest.
On Friday, a conservative judge in Texas ruled that the FDA had wrongfully approved the drug mifepristone, which has been in use for 23 years. The pill is used in more than half the abortions performed in the U.S. An anti-abortion group had filed a suit seeking to block access to the drug.
The FDA has to go back. It has to be transparent with the public about the studies that it relied on to make its decisions.
Legal experts say the judge's ruling was not based on whether people should have a right to access the pill or not.
5 million people have been able to safely end their pregnancies using this drug.
If the Texas judge's ruling goes into effect, drug manufacturers will have to halt production and distribution of mifepristone in the entire U.S. market, impacting millions of women. The ruling comes 9 months after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The Biden administration and reproductive rights groups expressing their outrage.
This decision further stripes away Americans' fundamental freedoms and interferes with a woman's ability to make decisions about her own body.
Several states have already announced plans to stockpile.
One single judge in Amarillo believes that he has the authority to overrule 23 years of access to mifepristone.
But on the same day the Texas ruling came down, a judge in Washington state issuing an order to the FDA to protect access to mifepristone. The Justice Department immediately filing their appeal to the Fifth Circuit Court, seeking an emergency stay of the Texas judge's order so it does not go into effect. And today, more than 250 drug and biotech companies releasing an extensive statement chastising the Texas ruling on the abortion drug. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
I want to tell you about the city of San Antonio launching a new website to help people find affordable housing. HousingBaseSanAntonio.com officially went live this morning. The site will help people search for rental units in their budget range and proximity to things like parks, public transit, and grocery stores. Once a profile's created, renters can detail their needs and social workers will search for the best options.
A plan to restore Brackenridge Park has some worried that the city can't see the forest or the trees. Opponents of this plan say the city does not need to remove all of the dozens of trees that it is planning to. And they tell our Garrett Berger they hope the Texas Historical Commission will force the city to change directions.
The executive committee of the Texas Historical Commission will meet here at the Botanical Gardens tomorrow afternoon. Opponents of the Brackenridge Park bond project say there's not an opportunity for public comment, so they're voicing their opposition now.
There's a passion to keep the cultural integrity of our park intact, and that includes the trees.
Gathered in Brackenridge Park Monday, members of the Stop the Chop Coalition and other groups criticized the city of San Antonio's current plans for the park.
Removing any tree with our present climate issues is wrong, and removing any heritage tree is a travesty.
The Brackenridge Park bond project has two phases. The first, which is in front of the THC, revolves around restoring the pump house and Lambert Beach area, including the limestone walls. But in the process, the city plans to cut down 48 nearby trees and relocate 19 others, including some trees larger than 2 feet in diameter, known as heritage trees. Opponents say there are better ways to do the project.
We have provided the professional opinions of 2 consulting engineers who have stated that alternative designs can save trees and walls at the same time.
The THC Executive Committee could vote on 2 permits at its Tuesday meeting, and opponents hope the committee will send the city back to the drawing board, where they hope they will be part of the redesign effort.
Because at this point, it just seems like everything's been so disingenuous when it comes to dealing with the people, the community.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Now, we received a statement from the city's Parks and Recreation Director just moments before this newscast began. He says, in part, they are taking a balanced approach to, quote, restoring and articulating the park's cultural and historic features, end quote. You can read that full statement right now on our website at KSAT.com.
Take a live look outside right now. You can see a lot of clouds out there. It was gray for most of the day, but the sun did peek out here and there in the afternoon.
Yeah, this evening.
Actually, on downtown, you see a little ray of sunshine there. So we do have some breaks in the clouds, even locally and especially downtown at the moment. But there's also a few showers out there. Nothing really around San Antonio. Seen a little bit of activity trying to develop around Pipe Creek. It's having a hard time doing so. And I think odds are against anything forming in or around Bexar County here this evening. But you look elsewhere and go south, due south of San Antonio. Some general rain and non-severe thunderstorms moving into Tilden and western portion of Choke Canyon there. This is all headed to the southeast toward I-37 there. And you go west of San Antonio, just north of Brackettville. It's just garden variety showers and thunderstorms, embedded downpours just north of Brackettville, and a little bit of action up in the hill country. You know, we do actually have some changes to talk about this week when the humidity returns. We'll be warming up, and another cold front that gives us storm chances. We'll talk about it in a bit.
Thank you, Adam. Let's check out traffic right now. Let's go south and a little bit east of downtown I-10 and Probant. And you can see that traffic is moving smoothly in both directions. I believe that's the westbound lanes of I-10 slowing down just a little bit, but no major traffic tie-ups to tell you about at this hour. With mass shootings and school scares almost weekly, there is no doubt we have more to feel anxious about these days.
Yeah, medication and therapy might be the first line of treatment, but sometimes that's out of reach when you need it most.
Our Ursula Perry with why putting down that cup of coffee and jumping in a shower are two ways to a do-it-yourself calm.
More than 40 million Americans live with an anxiety disorder. If you have anxiety, the intense fear and worry can be crippling, even if you're in a safe situation.
Anxiety doesn't make any sense. It's irrational, it's unreasonable, but it's very real to that person in that moment.
McHugh says there's some ways to do it yourself with an episode of anxiety. First, try distraction. It could be as simple as scrolling through your phone or reading a book when you feel anxious.
But you do it purposely. You say, okay, I'm going to distract myself right now. I'm going to put my focus on this other thing.
Also, practice positive self-talk. Repeating phrases like, I'm okay, or I'm doing what I can help redirect your worry. Another approach is the 5-4-3-2-1 method of grounding. You locate and say 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Focusing on your senses brings you back to the present moment. So, what should you say to someone else who's anxious?
Don't say, there's nothing to be anxious about, or why are you anxious about that? Do say, I hear you. You're feeling scared. You're feeling anxious.
Relaxation exercises like mindful meditation or yoga can also calm anxiety. But another suggestion is try a cold or hot shower. A cold shower can jolt your system and distract your thoughts. A hot shower can loosen your tense muscles.
Another DIY technique is to consider how much caffeine you take in. Research shows that if you have a panic disorder, caffeine consumption can increase your anxiety levels and even trigger a panic attack. You might want to consider switching over to a decaf tea, for instance. And finally, there is nothing that can get your anxiety more under control than seeing a therapist. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
Still ahead here on the news at 6, the San Antonio Book Festival is less than a week away. Hear from an author who hopes her writing gets people talking about a real problem.
Here's a look at what we're working on for you on the Night Beat. It could mean the difference between life and death. Tonight, our Fighting Fentanyl series continues with a local doctor who explains how a medication called Narcan can stop people from overdosing and how you can get it sent to your house for free. That and more on the Night Beat at 10.
The San Antonio Book Festival is 5 days away, and we're taking a look at some of the authors who will be there.
Author. Tiffany Huertas explains how one local author is using her book to help shine a light on women who disappear or are killed around the world.
Guadalupe Garcia McCall is no stranger to the struggles women face. That is why she wrote her book, Echoes of Grace, a book of fiction focusing on an 18-year-old trying to find her way after a great loss, but also focusing on real-life events happening daily.
Well, in Echoes of Grace, one of the things that I did was think about the micro story and how that is actually reflecting or mirroring the macro story of violence against women, femicide, all the things that women have been putting up with in the world for years and years.
McCall hopes her book resonates with her readers and gets them thinking about changes that could be made to help women.
I want people to look at this book as my call to action. How do we change policies and procedures and laws to protect women more?
When it comes to the book festival, McCall is no stranger to it. She has been attending a few years now and is looking forward to sharing her love of writing to the city she calls home.
Well, it's home. San Antonio's home. I've been here for the last 30-something years, and seeing everybody come to the festival, friends, family, loved ones, ex-students, former students, new students, it's just exciting to have those conversations around literature.
You will have the chance to meet McCall at the book festival, which takes place April 15th at the Central Library and UTSA's Southwest Campus. To learn more about McCall and the book festival, head to KSAT.com. Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
All right, let's take a look outside with Sky 12, where it's always green. The Pearl here, they got the turf down there, right?
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
were talking about our own yards and how we could use a little help this time of year. It looked like it was going to rain earlier today, but just gray.
We got a lot, though, this weekend and last week.
That's
so,
true.
You know.
How does
Did you say it's guilt-free? We had guilt-free sunshine over the weekend.
Guilt-free sunshine, because we had some good rain. And Myra, how's it smell outside your house right now?
It stinks.
You got the manure dumped on
I
it, right?
sure did.
It's good for your grass.
It's
natural.
One of my husband's favorite times of year.
Me too, Audrey.
And it stinks.
Yes, I don't mind the smell. I've grown to like it, to be honest with you.
Well,
yeah.
come on over.
Oh, it's just science, and it's good stuff that's going to be happening, especially with that. I actually rushed out and laid some bags down of that manure fertilizer before the rains came and got it just in time. A few stray showers out there this evening. And a chance of storms again as we get into Saturday. I'm more concerned about that. I'll tell you why and get into that in a moment. And some warming temperatures as well. Overall, not as active as what we saw develop late last week. Let's talk about rain. Since March 1st, we've had 1.6, or I should say that's since April 1st, okay? We've had 1.63 inches of rain. Not since the beginning of meteorological spring, but that's almost an inch below average. And you look at our year so far, 4.8 inches, and we're nearly 2 inches below average. The real sweet spot for the heavy rain was east of San Antonio, where we got anywhere between 4 and 10 inches of rain late last week. That was from Gonzales to Stockdale to almost Floresville, Kennedy, Poth area. And that was not in San Antonio. Now, I mentioned earlier this little shower trying to pop up around Pipe Creek. Little bit of brief rain with it. I don't anticipate this to last very long or to accumulate to much. We still have some other areas of isolated showers and non-severe storms south of San Antonio affecting Tilden. This is just some good soaking rainfall. Not a whole lot to it, really. North of Brackettville, this little thunderstorm right here. Not a lot of lightning and thunder with it, but a nice quick splash of rain that's headed toward Brackettville and toward Highway 90, and even just west of Brackettville, right along Highway 90. One downpour. In the hill country, we're seeing some development because of this energy aloft that's moving in. So along I-10, some heavy rain. This is just west of Kerrville, west of Ingram, and this is moving mostly to the south at the moment, but quiet around San Antonio right now. Here's the big picture, and you see this little alleyway of showers and storms that develop up and down central Texas, all the way up basically to Wichita Falls and stretching into Oklahoma. The flow aloft has little ripples of energy in it, and those are getting pushed southward and just kickstarting some of those showers and thunderstorms. But the coverage of it will become much more limited as we go through the night and we lose some of that instability from the daytime heating. This big upper level disturbance, it cuts off over the Gulf coastline, and it's going to sit over Louisiana for several days. But you notice in our futurecast, all the rain with it is going to be far away from us. We're going to be on the dry side of that system, on the back side of it. So the real good, soaking rain with that is going to be off to the east. And actually, we're looking pretty quiet here the rest of this week. 10% chance of a light shower tomorrow morning, 0% Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, a stray storm could pop up. I'm not that confident in it. And then Saturday, some scattered showers and storms at 40%. And should that develop Saturday afternoon, then I think there is the chance we could see some strong to severe storms. So we're watching Saturday pretty closely at the moment. 72 right now at the airport, dew point of 58, dew points upper 50s to low 60s, not overly humid outside because of the north wind that we've had. And notice the next few days, dew points closer to 50, so a lack of mugginess in the air until we get to Friday, Saturday. Those dew points spike, and that's going to help us out a bit with those storm chances on Saturday. So minimal breeze out there this evening, just a few of those stray showers lasting a couple hours past sunset, and temperatures falling through the 60s, 58 degrees tomorrow morning. By the afternoon, we're up to 77 and partly cloudy. So a mixture of sun and clouds out there tomorrow. We're back to 90 by Saturday, and then we drop off a bit because of that cold front that hits Saturday afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
All right. You know, the Spurs' Keldon Johnson, basketball is not his entire life. He has a life outside of basketball, correct, Larry?
Yes, he was born and raised in a rural area of Virginia. And when the Spurs drafted him, he was described as a really good country kid. So he likes to do country things. He likes to hunt. He likes to fish. He also likes to farm, and he loves animals. He'll talk about that coming up. Plus, John Rahm was very cool and calm while winning his first green jacket. Coming up.
I got horses, cows, goats, and I'm working on chicken coop now.
Keldon Johnson loves basketball and farm life in big board sports. San Antonio Spurs won 3 of their last 5 games to close out the regular season, including yesterday 138-117 at the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs sat 5 players while the Spurs rested 9, including third-year shooting guard Devin Vassell. The 22-year-old only played in 38 games this season due to a knee issue. He had a left knee procedure in early January that shut him down for 2 months. He returned March 2nd and played in just 9 games the rest of the way. The Spurs are being very careful with one of their bright young stars. During his exit interview yesterday, Vassell was asked if he's at peace with how the team handled him to make sure the knee is 100%.
Just going through this season, it was nagging me the whole time. Obviously, I had to get surgery. You know, it's a big thing for me to just be healthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think this offseason is going to be big for me with going through a plan, making sure that I'm healthy, and so I don't have to go through this ever again. Like, I don't ever want to play half a season or sit or not play back-to-backs or do what I had to do this year. So I think it was just a big time for me. You know, they understood, you know, what I was going through, and they did. I feel like they did the right thing.
Spurs leading scorer Keldon Johnson didn't play that much down the stretch due to a right foot sprain. He played in 63 games total and led the Spurs in scoring this season at 22 points per contest, but he only suited up in 8 of the Spurs' final 17 games. Now that the season is over with, Keldon will have more time to do something that he really enjoys.
Yeah, I'll probably be a farmer. I'll probably have my ranch. I'll probably get another ranch, a lot of animals, and I just take care of them.
Is it like peaceful?
Yeah, because I feel like at the end of the day, animals gonna love you every day, regardless of what you do that day. Humans, not so much.
And he's right about that. 2 humans and teammates didn't like each other very much yesterday, that's for sure. Timberwolves center Rudy Gobert threw a punch at his own teammate Kyle Anderson in the team huddle yesterday. The Athletic is reporting that the incident spilled over into the locker room at halftime, with the two having a heated verbal exchange. Gobert was sent home yesterday, and today the team suspended him for their playing game tomorrow night at the Los Angeles Lakers. John Rahm won his second major in his first green jacket at the Masters yesterday at 12 under par. Due to many weather delays, Rahm had to finish his third round yesterday before teeing off his final round. He played a total of 30 holes and looked calm the entire way, but there was one stretch during his final 18 that tested his cool, calm, and collected demeanor.
That bogey on 9, timing-wise, was bad because Jordan and Phil came in making birdies, right? So what looked like a 2, possibly more shot lead, narrowed down very, very quickly with a chance of making a birdie on 18, right? So made those 10, 11, 12 holes harder. Again, I might have looked calm, but I was definitely nervous out there, and I'm glad that's the way it looked. I mean, that's what you strive for, right? You don't want to panic, and I never panicked. I felt comfortable with my game, and I had a plan to execute, and that's all I can do.
Rahm is now the #1 ranked golfer in the world, and he won $3.24 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't.
Right?
I had forgotten the Masters payout was that much.
Huge.
A lot of money.
Big time. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. Coming up in the next half hour, the U.S. intelligence community on high alert after classified defense documents leaked online, the contents of those documents, and the latest on the DoD's investigation into who leaked them. After the break. Shockwaves in the U.S. intelligence community following the leak of a series of highly classified documents on social media.
U.S. officials are rattled by this, fearing the revelations could jeopardize sensitive sources and compromise critical relationships. Gloria Pazmino with the latest.
An interagency effort is underway.
This level of breach is significant.
To determine the authenticity and impact of dozens of leaked Pentagon documents that were posted online in recent weeks.
If there's 50 classified documents, there's 50 separate stories that are going to impact on the ground in Ukraine right now.
The information contained in the document reveals the depths of U.S. spying on allies and foes alike.
Number one, the most important thing we have are our sources, and number two are our allies. And when those are both put in jeopardy, that makes us less secure and it makes our enemies more emboldened.
Some of the documents, which officials say are authentic, expose the extent of U.S. eavesdropping on allies, including South Korea, Israel, and Ukraine. Others seem to divulge key weaknesses in Ukrainian weaponry and military readiness, while some show the degree to which the U.S. has penetrated the Russian Ministry of Defense.
Its goal is to weaken our resolve, weaken our alliance.
But unlike previous intelligence leaks, U.S. officials believe some of the documents may have been altered.
These photos appear to show documents similar in format to those used to provide daily updates to our senior leaders on Ukraine and Russia. Some of these images appear to have been altered.
A Pentagon spokesperson said the U.S. is already in talks with allies regarding the leak, and steps are being taken to tighten the flow of such highly sensitive documents. I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
In Louisville, Kentucky, 4 people are dead, at least 9 others injured after a gunman opened fire at a bank downtown. Authorities say the shooter was armed with a long gun. According to witnesses, the shooting started in a first-floor conference room. Investigators say the man was an employee at the bank. Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear revealing during a news conference following that shooting that a close friend of his was killed.
I have a very close friend that didn't make it today. And I have another close friend who didn't either, and one who's at the hospital that I hope is going to make it through.
According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been at least 15 mass shootings so far in the U.S. this month alone, including today's.
One of the lawmakers expelled from their seat in the Tennessee state legislature will be returning. The Nashville Metropolitan Council voted to send Representative Justin Jones back to the Capitol 4 days after he was ousted. He was expelled for his alleged role in a protest calling for more gun control in the aftermath of a deadly school shooting in Nashville. Jones says this expulsion has only ignited a passion to serve and speak up for the people who voted for him.
There are people who don't have anyone to do their constituent affairs anymore. We definitely have unfinished business.
If he's reinstated, Jones and Pearson would serve until a special election where they could run for their seats again.
Former President Donald Trump has filed a long-shot bid to keep his former vice president from testifying in a January 6th investigation. That's according to a person familiar with the case. A judge has ordered Mike Pence to testify before a federal grand jury investigating efforts to subvert the 2020 election. The former vice president has said he would comply with the subpoena, but Trump is now appealing the judge's decision. The former president trying to claim executive privilege around his and Pence's conversations.
U.S. consumers are starting to feel that credit is getting more difficult to access. That's according to a new survey from the Federal Reserve. The number of respondents who said it's harder to obtain credit now than a year ago climbed to the highest level in the survey's history. Consumers' year-ahead inflation expectations also increased for the first time since October. That marked the largest jump in one-year inflation expectations since March of last year. However, longer-term inflation expectations decreased when looking at 3- and 5-year horizons.
Your family's favorite iconic storageware could soon be history. Tupperware is barely staying afloat. The company says it is looking for financing because it doesn't have enough cash to fund its operations. Tupperware also exploring potential layoffs and reviewing its real estate portfolio. Stocks plunged 40% in pre-market trading today. The New York Stock Exchange also warned Tupperware could be delisted for not filing a required annual report. The 77-year-old business has struggled to stay relevant and attract young customers.
No more parties.
Guess not.
No more Tupperware.
Do they not
parties.
do those anymore?
I don't think so. Up next, how a local nonprofit is hoping to collect thousands of items to send to troops overseas. The items they're looking for and how you can help. Next.